Thanks for joining the podcast. I call it the Useful Podcast because it's useful for you, useful for me, and useful for the listener. And I always have this recording so we can chop it up however we want.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of chopping, you'll hear like a dog and two kids probably yelling. It's summer here, so
That's
summer.
perfect. I think that's part of the vibe of like your business as well, right?
Yeah, big time. It's got to work in my life or it's not working
I love that.
for sure.
So I guess the first thing I really wanted to ask you about was even before your beauty journey, before all of that.
Mhm.
You're a songwriter, you're a musician, you're basically an artist.
Yeah,
So I was
exactly.
wondering, who was that person to you? What was making music for you? And what was that like?
Well, it was cool. Honestly, I think one of my favorite things to do in the whole world is to be recording in a studio. The process of making any sort of art is my favorite part. And then what happens in the end is just like the bonus. Or you're like, oh, that's a surprise. That's what it turned out to be. Fun. But working with other people, I was so lucky. I was fortunate enough to tour in bands like across Canada a bunch of times, in the States, and yeah, it's just honestly it was such a whirlwind and so much fun. And then I think it changes a lot when you become a mother. One, and then two, I experienced hearing loss in my left ear probably last year. So that was like my big pivot this year, just take a break from it. I thought not forever, but it's just something that I hear differently now. So that obviously that's
Yeah.
everything. So,
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Because I was going to ask you, you've described songwriting as like listening to a different frequency before, right? Has that changed, or do you think the frequency, you still get a different vibe from a different frequency now?
that's cool. Songwriting is a magical thing. Songwriting is like, I do interpret it as listening to a different language. It's like you can interpret something. Once you start listening, you can, like a song will pop up in your head, like a melody, and then you might go to a piano and then something might have happened to you in the day or you were inspired by a story or there's emotions and then you just kind of have this like mumble mouth and then it just kind of pours out. And I find that best songs are always just pour out of you. Like there's no effort. And then some are hard to actually get out. Some take like a few months. And then if it takes longer than that, it's dead to me. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, have you ever like reached back into your old songs? Or,
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I'll listen. My kids will often pull up songs that I've written before and they're like, why didn't you release this? What are you doing? So, yeah, I'll definitely go back and dig through stuff, especially if it's been recorded. A lot of the times I'll write and then I'll have it on my iPhone and it'll be in my notes or something. And then I'll take it into, I have a little upstairs recording studio. And then, yeah. And then once I've got it into Logic, then it's more concrete. It's like, it's there. So once I've got it there, that's your dog,
yeah,
right?
that's my dog.
Yeah, but I wasn't
Don't
sure
worry.
what I was like, yeah. So once I've got it into Logic, then it's a different beast, right? It's there, and you can play with it in a different way. Yeah,
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 that makes sense.
yeah. It's
So
fun. Do you write at all?
I I did AI music was like I would mostly say it was more like I poured my heart out into lyrics and then I wanted a way to listen to it. So it
Cool.
was more of that. So it was more like because I can't write to save my life, to be honest. I can't do anything. I'm not artistic by nature, or I'm creative by nature, but not artistic. I think there's a difference.
You do?
I don't know. I feel like I'm always creative with everything I do. I mean, I try to be creative, but I think artistic is like the final result, or I feel it's more. Actually, I don't know. I feel like art is more like an expression of, just an expression, right? How you display
Yeah.
something.
I guess that's all it is, really. And I kind of think of being artistic is that you're able to create something out of nothing, and there's some sort of emotion usually in it too, right?
Yeah.
You've got this feeling that maybe you don't really understand. That's for me the thing I like most about it is that often when I'm feeling most creative, it's like there's something that I'm trying to kind of figure out, and I might not even know that I'm trying to figure that out. Even when you were writing your song, I don't know if you went through a breakup or if you had an argument with someone, but it's usually something that kind of triggers that, and then you're like, I want to feel it differently because sometimes those emotions just sit in your body and you don't really know how
Yeah.
to feel them.
For me, it was more like just a way of being in touch with my emotions if normally I'm not, right? So it's like, okay, this was a way because it was like abstract in a way where it's like, okay, I can put life to it in
It's so
analogies.
It's the coolest thing ever. And then you can even AI too. I know a lot of people like crap on AI music and how it's stealing a lot of the stuff, but listen, I think you're either hopping on the wagon or you're gonna die in the desert, right? It's like it's happening whether or not we like it, right, or not.
Yeah.
But I think it gives an opportunity. Obviously, there's people who've worked their whole lives to study an instrument. You know, they've played piano for 10 years and they've become masters at the instrument. And those people are incredible. But there's also people who have this artistic side that their parents couldn't put them in piano lessons, or, you know, they couldn't afford to play all these or spend hours in this, or even have the dedication to it. But then you have this opportunity to make something creative. I think it's cool. I wouldn't shit on that idea, you know. I don't know.
I think
Cool.
it just democratizes everyone's ability to access like skill, like no matter what it is.
For sure. And then I think also too, even in terms of like making art or generating pictures and all that stuff, you still need a bus driver behind it all. You still have to have a creative director, and that's what the true artist is. It's the person making the decisions. Like the director of the movie might not have acted in it, but they're the ones that are controlling the entire project. And I think that's what will probably the artist will more or less be the creative director moving forward, right?
Yeah, curious if this comes from like if you're saying this because you come from an artistic background or a record label background that you feel this way.
Probably. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And also I'm like I geek out with AI too, right? So I'm also very excited about the evolution that's happening here.
It's cool. So I was really curious about your story. I think you hid a pregnancy from the record label once. And that's a really interesting story. Kind of curious how that happened.
Well, I didn't get pregnant from the record label, just for the record. That didn't happen. But no, I was in a situation where I'd left my band. I was going solo, and I had this awesome producers I was working with, and we were talking to record labels and making, you know, we had funding and all this cool stuff. And I was kind of at the peak. I think I was like 20. Yeah, it was like 29 or 30 or something. And then it was like, oh, you're pregnant. And I thought, shit. You know, I was married at the time and everything kind of made sense. But at the same time, it didn't in a big way, because I think it wasn't until that moment when I realized this isn't what the labels are looking for. You know, they're not looking to sign me and pay me on mat leave. You know, that's not usually what happens. So yeah, I do remember the story of just being in a meeting and then getting there super early so I could order a giant non-alcoholic beer and just sip on that. So there's no questions, right? So yeah.
Curious how you handled that time, actually.
That time, you know, I wrapped up the record. I thought I would be able to accomplish the marketing behind it. I was really hoping that, but it was one of those things I kind of mourned the loss of that record. Me and the two dudes I worked with, actually, we all co-produced the record, but we were so excited about it. I still think it's a banger, but I couldn't do it. I realized that there's no way I'm going to be able to promote this the way I need to promote it if I want to raise a kid, you know. It just, a lot of people do it, but I couldn't. So yeah.
I mean, would you ever bring it back? I mean, re-release it. Taylor Swift did it.
Yeah, you know what I did? I put it out so my record that the record that we released kind of quietly was called Honor Angelus, and I took that project off of iTunes. I can send it to you if you, but I took it off of iTunes because I had planned on releasing it through Lady Hayes, which is, my alias, I guess, that I've always gone by. Okay. And I put Perfect Getaway on that, and I was going to slowly release it as well. But then I think just losing my hearing, I felt like breaking up with music 3 times was kind of like the charm. It lost the charm, though, you know? I was like, now I'm deaf. So I was like, maybe it's time to pivot.
Was it, I don't want to whisper something, but was it Beethoven or one of the famous people where it's actually deaf the entire time? Yeah,
I feel like, so losing my hearing in this year, I'm not sure what, honestly, anyone like Beethoven or something experienced, or I don't know even, I think, but it's a frequency thing. So it's not like the volume went down. It's like I can hear certain frequencies and I can't hear others. You know, it's different than I thought it would. I'm not sure what he was dealing with, because if he could feel frequency or hear certain frequencies, maybe he could still feel the vibration of something. I can't imagine he was like completely deaf, though. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. I don't know how you would even visualize it, or no.
Well, it is kind of, music is visual, which is weird. Like I see patterns. So if I'm going to be when I'm recording on piano or something, I see pattern. Like I'll see a pattern. Like because so when you're playing, there's like you've got 5 fingers, but I'll see like a little pattern, and then I just repeat the pattern, and then it goes to a different thing in your head. You can kind of just see. Some people see color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's how I guess different artists see different ways to get in tune with the music and art.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like dots or something, and then you just repeating the dots and they move. I don't know. It's like pattern recognition, I think, that I got really good at.
Yeah, actually, I kind of get it. When I used to run, like I didn't think of anything but like, just it might be stupid, but just like I was thinking of a song or a beat, and I was just that's just the song. The beat of the song is just the pace I ran at.
Yeah, exactly. Your heart kind of beats too. I would write a lot too. Like I used to like rollerblade a lot in Toronto, just down like the paths and stuff. But I would rip up and down this pathway. I'd probably do like 10 kilometers something with my headphones in, and you kind of have this pace. And I wanted it to feel like fast, so I would go fast and then write lyrics in different parts and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. You spent your whole life building brands, products, art, even the label the record as a brand. I would call it a brand or product. Something to market. I'm kind of curious, and now you're building Electric Lemonade from the ground up. So kind of curious, what's the thread running through it all? What's driving that passion of even the storytelling of the art?
In terms of Electric Lemonade?
I mean, is there a thread that ties everything together?
Yeah, I think there's probably always been. I think there's always been this just rebellious kind of tone. I think there's always been this like this conversation shift of trying to be independent. That's always been a theme. Yeah, like I don't know, like a kind of a sexy, playful rebellion, a little bit alt culture, but artistic at the same time,
So like, that's the style of the music and the style of I guess your vibe that
I
you're
say everything. Yeah, everything I've ever kind of done that's what I've loved or gravitated to,
So now I'm curious, you're a mom of 2 girls, and does that shape the way you build and like the pace and even the stakes on the line of how you're building everything out?
Right now, yeah, of course. Today, it's like my kids are home, so I was swimming. Well, I woke up at 6:30 and I made 150 samples this morning before the kids were out of bed, and then I take them to swimming lessons, and then I'll come home and like hammer out a bunch of emails and do mail orders, and then we went to see a movie. Yeah, definitely your pace is much different, but it's cool. I wouldn't want to. I like the little breaks, and I mean that's summer schedule.
Has it changed any, other than like the scheduling wise, has it changed the view that you had, like even while building a brand or the message you're trying to send out?
Yeah, of course, 100%. That's one of the things too, in terms of even building Electric Lemonade. Like there's so many beauty brands, obviously, and skincare brands. Sometimes you think, why am I building this? What's the point? Everyone else is doing it. Especially when your algorithm gets to know what you want. It's like, oh, you only other entrepreneurs building skincare, and you're like, oh, what am I doing? Everyone's doing this, but they're not. You talk to your friends, no one else is doing this. It's just so. For me, it's the most important thing is shifting the conversation. I think as a brand, having a product that is high impact, but you don't need to do it too much. The thing I was looking for was a product that I could use in my everyday life. I don't have, you can obviously tell I'm very busy, so I don't have time for like 9-10 steps of beauty care. That's insane. I think, I'm not sitting at the vanity and cleansing my face for like 10 minutes even, right? So I was looking for something that was science backed, but I also want to be part of something cool. When I use it, I want to feel like this is awesome at the same time, but it also works amazingly. So long story to get to your question. The conversation that I want to shift with all this is that I don't want it to be about anti-aging, and I don't want it to be beauty without substance. I really want it to be more about like taking care of yourself as a form of self-respect first, and I want my kids to see that more than anything, that, it's not, you don't need to be fixed, you don't need a facelift. You don't need to look like you have no pores. We still want to look human. It's beautiful. So just how are you going to take care of that as a form of, self-care?
That makes sense. I guess then from an artist last year, what pulled you into the beauty industry? I guess it's pretty parallel anyway, or maybe parallel.
I know it's funny because I've done so many projects, like for a bit there. Even when I was pregnant with the girls, I went from music and I made flower crowns, and I didn't intend to do that, but I ended up making a business that like thrived pretty well for like, yeah, if you look Lady Hayes flower crowns. I had them on
Yeah.
like Ariana Grande and lights and all sorts of famous people. I just put one on the internet once, and then people started ordering them. I just kind of hit that, when everyone was wearing flower crowns, like I was part of that movement. Yeah, and so that was kind of random for me, but it was just another way that the kids could go to sleep, and I'd make like a flower crown and I'd sell it for, $400 or something, which was crazy at the time, and yeah, it was cool. So I've always loved just working. I'm more of, like I said, I like projects and I like the process. So I think more than anything, that's what it's been about. And for me, just building a business, that's been really cool to learn how everything's done,
Yeah. And even the other side of it, I'm kind of curious. You sell merch. How big of, I mean, I think that's a way of building community, and kind of curious. When I saw you as well, you were wearing your own merch. I loved, I-
Yeah, I put on my hat too before I was like, maybe I won't wear the hat. I wear my
do
like
you-
clothes like that.
yeah.
I
Do you
don't
think
care.
having it actually helps, like you put yourself out there and put your brand out there?
Yeah, of course. I think it's brand recognition too. And I think when you align your brand, even with other brands, sometimes I'll do like, oh, weekend getaway. And then you find your favorite brands. And when you align your brand with, another cool brand, it's just that brand recognition. And when people see those two things together, you have this, there's like psychology behind it too, right? You just think, oh, that's cool. And that must be cool too. So 100%. And it's cool because I've done some markets before. And even though my Instagram's small in terms of numbers, it's really mighty. Everyone really interacts, and I think that's more important than having, fluffer, follower fluff. So, but the cool part is that when I do markets, people are like, "Oh, I've heard of you. I've seen your brand. I've done this." So that the recognition is there, which is exciting.
So how do you go to new markets actually?
I meant like, I know you might be thinking market in terms of like demographic, but I meant like market. Like I'm doing a yoga thing with Lululemon Make a Wish next weekend. So
Okay.
that kind of thing. Yeah. But for that, I'm doing an activation, which I'm pretty excited about. So I've built a giant mist tent, but it's like an arch. It's covered in flowers with my brand on it. So there's about 150 attendees, I guess, and they'll all get a sample. And then they can, after they do like hot yoga in the sun with this, you know, yoga babe guru, they get to walk through my mist tent. So
It's
yeah,
pretty cool. Do you do many collaborations like that?
I try to. Yeah. For me, that's exciting. I love working with other people. I work alone all the time. So as soon as I can get the chance to collaborate with someone, I'm like, yay, it's a human. It's me and my bots all day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, back to your product, actually, you have one product, or basically one
Yeah.
product.
Only one.
And yeah, you even talked about you didn't want like the 10-step routine or all these different products. Even for a guy like me, that sounds amazing. Like having one thing to just worry about, right? And why do you like, where did that conviction of just having one thing even come from? Where did the conviction of just one product when you're used to all these different types of products come from?
I can see what you're saying. I think it's more about time. I think the more I was talking to people too, I think the beauty industry is so saturated with all these steps, which is honestly, some people need it, but I found that the more I did to my skin, the worse it was. If I had done like 5 steps and cleanse my face and all this stuff, cleanser's actually not the greatest for you too. I think that people should wash their face, obviously, but it does it strips your skin barrier, which is not good because it's dry, and your barrier is what protects it, keeps the moisture in, and it protects the toxins from getting inside, like bacteria and stuff like that. So you want to keep it, yeah,
Do you
clean
think
but not
products are,
leaky.
yeah, that makes you question, like, do you think products are promoted just for, I mean, it sounds like there's ineffective beauty products being promoted, right? Kind of curious on your take on that.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's like anything. If you want your customer to keep coming back to you, you don't really want, like for me, that's not the motive. My motive is to create a trustworthy brand that sells really good products. That's the motivation, and to change the conversation. But I think for, yeah, a lot of companies, it would be you want your customer to come back, and so I think making it seem for a woman that they need to fix themselves or something's wrong with them is probably why they're going to come back, because it's never quite right. So
That's actually fair. I think I've seen a lot of the beauty industry actually prey on insecurity, right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah. So, but no, you probably don't need a lot of that stuff. No, I would say most girls probably don't use it. And then the other thing is like beauty stuff expires too. So I don't know how I've have you ever been in a Sephora?
Yeah, aisles
Yeah.
upon aisles.
It's
But
wild, right? It's a really interesting experience, especially like if you like stand. My daughter was buying something from there the other day, and yeah, I stood near the counter just waiting for her in the line, and you could hear everyone's totals. It would be like $450, and then it'd be like a 17-year-old. They're like $300. I'm like, where did you get $300 from? And you're perfect. You don't need anything. You know, it's funny. So
yeah,
yeah,
wow. I mean, even curious. I mean, I love how you set up Electric Lemonade, like the brand. It's not just like the product; it's the whole. It seems like a whole world. Your background, like even every single thing is all perfectly aligned. Like the editorials, the champagne, the like the website, almost everything. So what's the feeling that I guess Electric Lemonade is trying to give to people?
I'd say it's a radiance without rules. That's that's kind of like the essence of the brand. So it's having the skincare fit into your own world and have it a little bit rebellious. And yeah, that's always stuff that works, that doesn't need much effort. You know, you can put it on your face and it's an amazing product made it's lab manufactured as well by chemists, which is awesome. It uses great products. And I think in terms of like the editorial style, sometimes I have to be careful because I'm a perfectionist. So I'm like, okay, calm down with your tones, because it's almost like I'll even like shade balance it as I'm going through my Instagram. So sometimes I think my biggest mistake is probably over perfecting things, you know? I think even my girlfriend said that to me the other day, one of my good friends. She said, you need like shake it up a bit with real shit. You know, she's like, so just make it imperfect. And I think that's
Yeah,
really what I need to change about a little bit. But yeah.
but I mean, even without the like, yeah, I think imperfection kind of helps. Just like I don't know, it seems more authentic when it's imperfect than perfect. But I was gonna say, I love the
It
color
does.
scheme of the pink. By the way, the
Thank
pink and
you.
the
Yeah,
black.
I do too. Love pink. I try not to I even making the bottle, like the black tube, it was originally pink, obviously. And that was a big thing for me too. So I was like, I'm gonna make it black and white, and that way I can take any color I want, because it won't always be pink, maybe. You know, I could always make it blue eventually, but because the branding is black and white. But pink is something that just is it just seeps out of my being. I was doing my house recently, and without even thinking about it, I started painting my kitchen cabinets pink, and I'm like, you're an idiot. Stop with the pink. So much pink. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually I was gonna just give me one sec. I'm just searching up what the
I think I'm
color pink means. I think I was reading about this in marketing actually. Pink subconsciously means I think empathy, compassion, and youthfulness.
good.
So
Well, there we go.
yeah, I love that. So I guess the Radiant Rebel is results without rules and glow without pressure. That's like seems like a philosophy. So what are you actually rebelling against?
What am I rebelling against? So much, probably. But I would say it's like a quiet rebellion. I wouldn't say I'm like, I don't ever like to shit on people. You know, I don't want to shit on the beauty industry because I just don't believe in that. But in terms of the rebellion, I think it's more of just like I said before, it's a conversation shift. And I think the rebellion is like I'm kind of anti-aging, you know? And I think the rebellion is actually adding depth and substance to it. So instead of having, you know, instead of writing posts about maybe what everyone's beauty routine is, it's like, hey, like you're a cool actress that was in all this stuff. What's life for you like? And making it more inspiring than it is not. I I think the rebellion is a lot of the time, even when I'm on social media or talking to other people, I don't want to ever leave feeling like I'm not doing enough. I want to create a space that makes people feel like inspired, even if it's to skateboard or something, which is something I picked up later in life. But I want people to look at something or a picture and see a girl skateboarding and think, that's fucking cool. I want to learn how to skateboard now. Not, oh my God, I'm ugly, and start Googling plastic surgeons in their area, you know? or Groupons for Botox. Like, I don't want people to do that. So that's my rebellion.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's not about fixing yourself. So why do you think that reframe even matters?
Why do I think that matters?
Yeah.
Sorry, I think you're cutting out a little bit. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah. I said,
Okay,
why
good.
do you think that matters?
Because I think, and I think it's more of men don't seem to be, that doesn't seem like men talk about that a lot too, about their face and stuff like that. But I think for women, it does, there's a lot of talk about, what's wrong with you. And even when you're hanging out with your girls or your girlfriends, it'll be like, look at these lines and, I wish my butt was skinnier. And it always seems like there's so much talk about what's wrong with people, and I don't know, it's just sad. There's a lot of, I feel like it's a lot of wasted energy. I don't want to have those conversations. I'd rather be doing stuff. I'd rather sit down with my girlfriends and be like, how did you get money for your startup? Like that's what I'd rather talk about.
Yeah.
So
That's actually funny because I was talking to a couple of people, and there was a couple of days I just spent talking to a bunch of my female friends, and then right after that, I felt like it was almost like we're older now, and they were, I guess when we're hanging out with female friends, they're just talking about life issues. Where if I hang out with my guy friends, it's not really, that conversation about life issues never really comes up. We're more talking about what are we doing, and it's just a funny dynamic that, like, even now that you say that, being like thinking about it.
it is a funny thing, and it's not always like that too. But there are certain people I just find now that I'm building this business, my time is limited. So obviously I like hanging out with my girlfriends. We have like dance parties and they're all amazing and stuff. But it just seems like even when you're hanging out with other mom friends or something, there's always this conversation about, you're either talking about people or you're talking about what's wrong with you and what you're going to fix about yourself and aging or perimenopause or something. And I don't know. I just don't want to be part of that conversation very much.
Yeah, and speaking of conversations, you actually have your own interview platform. Like you sit down with women and talk about beauty and life more honestly. So kind of curious why you're building that alongside Electric Lemonade.
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me okay still.
Yes.
Is this a conversation about Radiant Rebel? The
Yeah.
platform? Yeah, that is basically, it's a blog and it's just an opportunity for me to talk about maybe current beauty trends, questioning beauty trends, interviewing interesting women, and yeah, I guess.
What kind of curious, what sparked Radiant Rebel, like the platform and the idea to do this?
What inspired it?
Yeah.
I think it's important. I think that it creates a voice outside of Instagram. I think that you're limited to, I think when people are scrolling through your Instagram, you probably get like a millisecond of someone's attention. And I think that if people are actually interested in reading something or figuring, when I'm interested in something, usually I'll dive deep. And so if someone does want to dive deep into what Electric Lemonade stands for, I think that's a really good opportunity to have, to get to know someone. It's like, oh, here's some questions and here's some answers. And it's just an online space where people can hopefully leave feeling inspired and get to know the brand.
And kind of curious, like, has it changed? Have those conversations changed how you build the brand or even talk about the brand publicly?
Of course, constantly. I feel like even I look back from even the first, when you're building a brand, the first thing you do is like, what are our values? And, you kind of establish all this stuff. That constantly is changing. And I think that's another surprising thing about when you're brand building is to see the evolution of things and how it grows. But that's exciting. I think you have to be open to
Yeah.
those shifts, those pivots. You're growing, hopefully. I would hate that if I put something out, it never changed. So,
Yeah. I mean, changing or just even growth requires a little bit of change either way.
for sure. I think that's why it's important too for anybody who out there maybe starting a business. I think that it's important the first leap won't feel secure. You're going to be, I think it should feel a little scary and you shouldn't be fully done what you're doing. I think you just need to throw it out there in the world. And then a lot of brands that I've seen become successful, they grow with their community and their customers, which is what I would also like to do. So eventually when we start developing another SKU, and I have a ton of ideas. So obviously I'm still driving the bus, but if people are like, hey, I love this, but what about this? And you really hear back from your consumer, you grow with them. And I think that's what really establishes a long-term relationship with your customer and people who trust you and want more from you. That's really cool.
Yeah, and speaking of actually establishing trust, I think I was talking to a lot of different founders over the week, and a lot of something that came up was actually establishing trust between them and their audience, their customers, their user base. So even for you, I imagine with like all the different brands out there, trust is probably a huge thing that you're trying to get out. Kind of curious how you're focusing on that.
Yeah, I think that happen you can't it's like when you're in a new relationship too. It's like, how can I trust this person? And that, you know what, I think it's just you keep showing up and you're reliable and you're consistent and you're transparent with what your ingredients are and you have your values are I think your values need to stay the same and yeah, those things are important to me and not compromise on those. If I was offered an opportunity that didn't align with that, then I would say that I would never do that. And I think that if you do, when you have two ideas that are opposed, oftentimes that's when you get your consumer maybe thinking, you know,
Yeah.
that's,
Like misalignment.
yeah, like I thought maybe they didn't stand for that. So, or it's like anybody, if they say something crazy, on the internet, they get canceled pretty fast. So,
Yeah. Especially nowadays. Cancel culture is.
yeah, I think the pendulum has swung pretty hard left. So I feel like we're kind of swinging back to a little bit of a, there's always with any movement of ideas, right? You always
Yeah.
have yeah.
You have an overswing and then you have to under. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes back. So, yeah, hopefully everyone just chills out a little bit.
Yeah. Kind of curious. You find social media, like content creation, kind of performative. You've mentioned it, even soul sucking. But you still have to do it for your brand. And I saw you using AI art for it. And kind of curious how you live with the tension of just having to build.
Sorry, hold on, you're cutting out. Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry you cut out.
Yeah. So you find social media content creation kind of
Nope.
performative and even soul sucking.
Yep.
And you've said it sucks the beauty out of things. But you do have to, you're selling things on Instagram and you're selling things online. So kind of curious how you handle that tension of like even selling online like that and building a brand.
Did I quote soul sucking?
No, that was me.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
okay,
me.
I was
Sorry.
like, yeah, I think what happens is that I don't know if you've experienced this with Instagram too, but it's I think it's more the algorithm that is frustrating and how to push through, right? I think that's what most people are finding. And I think that, with Meta, you have to feed that thing a lot of money in order for it to move anywhere these days. When it first came out, it was really about organic growth and that could even happen fast. But I think now I think that's what's frustrating, that if you put something online, it's not going to organically grow the way you want it to or the way it used to. So you could put something on there and spend a lot of time on it. It's not going to get I think you just wish it did better,
Yeah.
organically. So
I
I think
mean,
that's more what's frustrating.
yeah. How do you manage like even creating the content then while
How do
it's
I create it?
frustrating? Yeah.
I don't know. I just get, once I get an idea, I'm in it. I'll obsess over it. So if I'm, yeah, well, I have usually my content planned. Like I plan out my grids in advance and then I just will, sometimes they change a bit, but today it's like a beach flat lay. So it's like, okay, we'll talk about like summer skin and then, but I love taking pictures and I do some rendering with AI as well. And yeah, I love making art and that's probably my favorite part. If I could do that and if I could hand off like the shipping and all that stuff, I would just be the creative director of this brand. But yeah,
Makes sense. What do you think the hardest part has been of building the brand then? The
the
shipping?
hardest part,
Yeah.
no, like, I mean, I think the hardest part honestly is because it's it is wearing all the hats, I guess, essentially, right? So I'm doing everything, and it's having that brain jump from different modes. So it's like, okay, well, now I'm answering emails, and then now I'm shipping, and then now I'm talking to a retail store, and now I'm over here. So I think that for me, and trying to stay organized when you're jumping around so much. So I try
Does
and
it get
have my
frustrating?
no, but I think that I lose a lot of time. So I think it's more that I wish I had more time. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right? But then I guess that's really what I'm hopeful for is that scaling, and getting some sort of capital, which I'll be working on in the fall. I'm prepping all of the numbers and everything right now to try and look for pre-seed investments and stuff. So once I have funding and I'm able to pass off some of this to other people, it'll be great.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Then kind of
Yeah.
curious how you even view has anything changed about Electric Lemonade and the brand since you've started?
Sorry, I don't know what's happening. Maybe I'm in the country right now. Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, has anything actually changed about Electric Lemonade in terms of I feel like a lot of businesses when they start up, they you have a goal that you set out to be, but sometimes like the ship you're on, the journey might be a little different than how you thought it was going to be. So I'm kind of curious, has anything like that happened?
For sure. Yeah. I think I'm such a dreamer. So of course, when I put something online, I'm like, I'm going to have, 20,000 followers by X date. And these are my numbers and my metrics. And then when you feel the realities of stuff, it's, it's a lot different, but it's also exciting because it gives you a good reality check of how hard this is going to be, but also how rewarding it is too. And then what I'm celebrating is a lot different than what I thought I'd be celebrating, So it's like, for instance, even getting my labels from the manufacturer, I was there was Christmas time. I was waiting for the UPS truck to drop them off, and I'm like, they're here. So yeah,
That's
but
something you would have
it does
never
look
thought
much
about.
different than of course not. That seems ridiculous, but I literally was waiting. So, and then to just see everything come together is cool. And I think the other thing that I didn't think I'd be, of course, yeah, hearing people how much they like the product is the thing that I think I'm most fulfilled by too. When someone when you see a reorder come in, you're like, oh my God, they really like it. That wasn't just I'm going to try this. That's I'm a return customer. So I think that's super cool. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So if Electric Lemonade works exactly if everything happens the way you envision, what do you think life would change for a woman, an average woman, or even for you or users, your customers?
Well, I think that what would change in an ideal dream world situation?
Yeah, dream world.
Dream world. Yeah, I think I would shift the conversation, and it would be less about perfection culture and more about, celebrations and conversations to move woman into a place where it feels, safe to celebrate those imperfections instead of try and fix everything. And maybe, yeah, I don't know. I think that would be
Yeah.
really important, and to build a brand that maybe my kids would even want to take over at some point. And
So even beyond beauty, kind of like a movement at that point.
yeah, I think a movement of some sort.
Kind
Is
of.
it?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the brand for me is bigger than just selling a bottle of cream. I think I have a pretty big vision of what I want it to be. And it's not take over the world, but it's more just a safe place for women to have conversations about anything and just celebrate. Yeah, just celebrate life, and without having to worry about, what your makeup looks like, or going out in the world without makeup on, or whatever that is. I think that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually having to go out in the world without having to worry about what you look like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's guys don't think about that, obviously. You guys hop out of bed and then throw some water in your hair probably. But for a woman, sometimes it can take a woman an hour before she'll even be seen by, her husband, I'm sure. So it's really why? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's a lot of time.
Okay. Building in both music and beauty, two completely different worlds. What what do you think would have to be true, or how do you think it would all be worth it for you when you look back?
Well, I think it is, honestly, sometimes I wake up in the day and I was even just hanging out at the public pool with my kids, or even my boyfriend and I just out in my backyard here, we had like a ladder set up with like, because we're building the mist tent, and we had the mister draped over the ladder, and we were just sitting there in our lawn chairs, and the mist was just at our feet. And I just looked around. I'm like, I am so fucking content right now. So I think honestly, and it's so silly, but yeah, I really feel like I've lived a really full life.
So it's really not
And
about the money or anything like that for you anymore. It's
no,
actually
and no, and that's not saying like I'm like I can do whatever I want. I have to make money still. Like I'm not. There's no free ride. I know I got a white blazer on. It looks fancy, but yeah, I'm wearing jean shorts underneath this. So,
with this heat, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, sure. I think that they say like money would be. I would love to build something that was successful. Yes, of course, I would love to build something that was legacy big. That's kind of the goal. So, and is that measured in numbers? I guess probably in terms of having something to even. I always just have this funny daydream that my kids are going to kick me off of they're going to be part of the board and they're going to kick me off of it. I'd be like, you're old and useless now. And that'll be the great day. So,
Would you really think of that during that time though, as you're getting fired?
who knows? Yeah, probably. Yeah, as long as my severance package is like a yacht. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
No, but I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, it would be great to be successful. Yes.
I was actually going to ask you about your daughters, actually. So because the brand is partly for them, it's to show to show them that you can build something, or you've built something true to yourself or something like that. Kind of curious about that whole vision of what you want them to see.
You know what? It's so cute. Like my kids will write me little notes and stuff. And my daughter wrote me a letter under my pillow, and she's like, "I'm so proud of you." And hearing that from your kid is wild. I didn't think it would feel that good. And she was just like, everything you've built and all your what you're doing. So I think for me, it's you can tell your kids all sorts of stuff, but I think to really show them, to teach them about life, I think you have to show them and model that. So I think that's a lot of the driving force behind building this brand, is to show them that you can just imagine something in your head, and dream it, and then you can build it. But you have to. It's not going to be given to you, and you have to work through the hard stuff, and you have to work your ass off. But it's possible.
Yeah, almost like manifestation, right?
Manifesting?
Manifesting and almost not believing and knowing is going to happen.
Yeah, and I do think it's like the neuroplasticity thing, right? It's when your brain is wired, the more you think things, the easier it is for those, neurotransmitters to fire in that direction. So I think that even in terms of manifesting, I think it's probably more that your brain's just firing there. And when you have your eye on something, you're gravitated towards it, and you start to pay attention to different things, right? So you can make it kind of sounds fluffy, but there's also science behind it as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So yes, manifesting.
Yes, the law of attraction is. I love the actual thing, but
yeah, it's.
What you were gonna say?
No, sorry, you just cut out. No, it's. I do believe in the manifesting of stuff. I think that if you really believe you can do something, I think humans are pretty damn capable. I mean, you've even seen what like Elon Musk has been doing. It's absolutely wild what that man has done in his life. It's bananas.
He went for the first trillionaire to like what, a 2 trillionaire instantly.
Yeah, I mean, he needs that to build those rockets.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. So I mean, it's not in his bank account. But
no, but I love that. Like you see how fast you can evolve. Like it was so hard to hit a trillion, but once you hit that trillion, he hit that next trillion the next day.
Crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of curious. You're clearly gonna keep making things even past Electric Lemonade, and I think even in the future, just based on your history of an artist, a builder, a founder now, and even a serial entrepreneur. What's the bigger thing that you're trying to build across all your life?
Oh, that's cute. The bigger thing I'm trying to build across my life, I think it's just to be. If I'm able to be an artist my entire life, that's really fucking cool. I've kind of always been able to. I don't think I would function well. I've had Well, even then, I've looked back at the jobs I've had, and I think I was given a lot of freedom. They were like, "Oh, Shelley, she's quirky. Just they let her do her thing." And so I kind of hope that that's the way I'm able to keep going. I think I would shrivel up maybe, and my soul would be a little crushed if I had to work in a cubicle, but I would do it. I just think so. If I can continue doing this, yes, that'd be cool. And
Makes
then
sense.
to travel more and I think the snowball effect of feeling the success would just be to have cool opportunities and to travel and maybe like do some, even like with I'm working with hopefully a skateboard company right now. And so like that, those things excite me, you know?
Just like more opportunity, newer opportunities.
Yeah. Maybe meet some cool people. Like even doing this is cool.
Yeah. So I guess when you decide to step back one day, what do you really want to be known for? Like you, the brand, the art, or whatever. Kind of curious what the secret goal is.
For the secret goal, I honestly don't know. I hope that people are inspired, I guess, in some way. I think for me, I was always looking for a mentor of some sort, but I think because I was always doing so many different things, it was hard for me to find someone that I was like, I want to do what they're doing, and so maybe at the end of it, I could be that for someone else to maybe look at the life I've led and to try and follow. If they were inspired, they could maybe follow some of the footsteps I've taken to just be creative, I guess. You know?
I guess like a role model for people.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would love that, you know? Don't look too deep in the past, though. Yeah. Not in the 20s.
That's funny. But yeah, that's actually all the questions I had. I think that's a perfect place to wrap it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, just don't have that as the title. Don't look deep in Shelley's past.
it's not
Reflect,
at the 20s.
not in the 20s.
That's exactly where
No.
everyone's going to look then.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be like, Shelley, I don't know. Actually, you won't find any pictures. This is just before that. Yeah. You'd have to go for like newspaper clippings. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
Google to find out.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a few different names, so good luck.
That makes sense. Well, yeah, thanks so much for hopping on and even doing this with me. We'll cut this up later on and hand it to you, and we can share the content and use it across.
Sweet.
And yeah, it
Awesome.
was a real pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for the chat. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'll see you on the socials.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll meet again sometime.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, we should talk. I feel like you do AI too. We didn't even get into that. That's why I would like to talk more about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Later on, we'll talk, I guess. I do have
Okay.
to hop up. All right. Bye.